Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shantavia Williams. I hope you guys are all doing well. It is another amazing day. Okay, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will and I shall rejoice and be glad in it. So listen, I'm at work, but I don't care. Okay, I was determined to get this word out because this came through so strong. So I just want to be obedient. Okay, so what's dropped in my spirit today is Philippians verse 4, 6 through 7, to be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing. Now let's talk about anxiety, right? It can evolve and morph into anxiety too, right? That's a part of being anxious. Worrying, that's really what anxious speaks to, is worrying. And this is something that God really had to deliver me from, because I used to be such a worrier. I used to just worry unnecessarily. And worry, really, it robs you of your joy in that moment. And I'm going to prove this. And maybe you guys are able to relate. How many times have you worried about something, but then as time went on, it figured itself out, it worked itself out, it ended up, it was alleviated, the situation was alleviated, the situation, it worked itself out, it wasn't no stress about it, it went well. Right? But prior to it working itself out, prior to it going well, all of these, things, it was the anxiety, it was anxious, it was worried unnecessarily. And what I've come to find out is that worry literally just robs you of your joy in the moment. If you could have fast forward to see, hey, this thing actually worked itself out, you wouldn't have worried in that previous moment. And that's what worrying does. That's what the spirit of anxiety, just being anxious, it robs you of your joy in the moment, right? And we don't need to be robbed of our joy in any way, shape, or capacity. So it's stealing from you. It's stealing from you a positive moment or a joyous moment, or even just a moment of peace. But anxiety, anxious, it robs that. It takes that away unnecessarily. So, and what I've also learned and experienced with anxiety or just being anxious is that it robs you of your peace. Not only does it rob you of joy, it robs you of peace. It's unnecessary most of the times. It's unnecessary worry. It's unnecessary, over concern. It's unnecessary. It's just you just going off. Unnecessary, right? So I always want to go back biblically. Let's go to Philippians verse 4, chapter 6 through 7. Okay, and it reads, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God." Okay, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. I have experienced this. I have literally experienced that. I have seen, now when I see it creeping in, I'm able to identify. I'm like, oh no, that's worry. Oh, no. And I'll immediately combat that and be like, God, I'm just giving this to you. I don't know how it's going to work itself out. God, I don't need to know how. I don't need to know how it's going to come together. God, this is just me trusting you. God is looking real funny, but God, you know what? I'm going to trust your word. I'm going to trust your promise. I'm going to trust what you said to me. I'm going to trust that this thing is going to be all worked out, because I have come to a place in my life where I refuse to allow things, circumstances, situation, people rob me of my joy. It's not happening. It's not happening. Them days are over, okay? And that's a word for someone. Guard your heart, and this, as the word says, be anxious for nothing. First things first, you want nothing before its time. Nothing. Everything has its divine time, its divine place, space. It's all going to work out and come together as it should. You don't have to know everything. And that's what it is. That's when the anxiety creeps in. It's from not always knowing the how, not always knowing how this is going to come together, not always knowing, what, or, it's the unknown that in turns birth the anxiousness or the anxiety. But you have to know, child of God, you don't have to know. You got to know that you don't have to know. Long as God knows. Long as God knows, it's going to work out. It will. I am a living witness. I have experienced this in my life. I have experienced myself like stress out. And I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. I'm over here stressing. And God, look how you done just work this thing out. Like, unnecessary. That's what I'm saying. It's really unnecessary worry, and it's to rob you. And if you see it like that, if you start to see it in that space, if you start to see it from that place, then you'll be able to combat it a little better. You'll be able to say, no, I'm not gonna worry. No, I ain't gonna do that. No, that's a worrying thought. Nope, not moving from that, not operating from that. No, God, I give it over to you. God, I totally release it to you. God, you're gonna take care of this just like you've taken care of everything else. It's all gonna work out. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to be steadfast in what you promised me. And that's that. And when you really adopt that, and I know that's harder said sometimes, but it just takes the practice of it. But when you really adopt that mindset, like everything else it just becomes like, you become easy like Sunday morning. Like you don't trip. Like, and that I have practiced this. I've seen it happen. Like, I'm telling you, that has been my posture. That has been my practice. Like, I'm just like, God, I'm not worried about this. It'll work itself out. And you know what? It always does. It always does. So this word is for anyone who struggles with anxiety, who struggles with being anxious, worrying. Do yourself the favor, give it over to God. You're not meant to know everything. You know, it's not your portion to be worrying and fretful, and that's not your portion in Jesus' name. That's not your portion. Come out of agreement with that and say that. I come out of agreement with the spirit of anxiety. I come out of the agreement with the spirit of being anxious, worrying. That is not my portion. God says he's going to give me life more abundantly. I'm meant to have peace. The fruits of the spirit thereof dwell within my temple. It is all good. All is well. Okay. And when you get that in your spirit and that becomes your practice, you'll notice that you'll start to respond to things, or just hardship or challenges that may come up, or just things you just don't know about. You'll start to respond to that much with more peace, okay, and much different. Okay, so I love you guys. I gotta go back to work, but I love you guys, and until my next video, bye.